Okay. So, like I said, Grant, I need you focused here today, okay? Sonnets are a form of poetry. So remember how we went over like all the elements of poetry last week, and I was like, there's a haiku, there's always the couplet, there's a quatrain, there's all these types of forms of poetry. A sonnet is just one specific form, okay? And like I said, it was the love letter of their time. Okay, so instead of a DM, it was a sonnet. So, it's a structured type of poetry where the author attempts to show two related but differing things to the reader in order to communicate something about them. So what this means is there's typically two things at like stake or that they're discussing. So typically it's almost like a metaphor. You know how like a metaphor you compare two things that are not similar but somehow make sense? Like a person and a rose, or what was that example you gave last week? The wind howling and a wolf. Okay, those are not related whatsoever, but they're comparing them to show you something. A sonnet does that. There's two ideas being compared, whether it's love and death or something like that. It's trying to showcase an idea. So, like I said, a sonnet shows two related contrasting ideas. So, life versus death, youth versus old age, to communicate something about them. So, there's always two ideas going on in the sonnet being compared, and they have different forms to showcase that. Okay, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is Shakespeare. I don't know if you got that. Okay. So the form. A sonnet consists of 14 lines and follows one of several set rhyme schemes and forms. Okay? Ready? 1, Shakespearean. We can say that too, right? Okay? 2, it's Petrarchan. Say that 6 times in a row. Petrarchan. Okay? It's like the Italian version. And then there's Spenserian. Okay? So obviously this is named after William Shakespeare. The Petrarchan came out of Italy, and then Spenserian is named after Edward Spenser, who's the first to do this. Are you guys excited? Yeah, this is exciting stuff. Okay. So, Liz, how many lines are there in a sonnet?
14.
14! Okay. How many different types of sonnets are there, Grant Taylor?
3.
Nailed it. You guys are killing the game today. Okay. So, Shakespearean sonnet. So, in this format, so remember again, we've got 14 lines, right? So we have, it's a total of 14 lines. It's written in iambic pentameter. Do you guys know what that is? Have you reviewed that this class yet? Student freshmen. So, who's heard this word before in other English classes and never knew what on earth it was? Okay, I remember in high school, my teachers would be like, iambic pentameter, or whatever, and I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about, lady. Okay. Iambic pentameter is when you have alternating stresses. Ready? So you guys know in Romeo and Juliet, there's a line where he says, "It is the east and Juliet is the sun." Okay, heard that before? Think about it when it's written out. It's up, down, up, down, up, down. It is the east and Juliet is the sun. You see how it's like bounces? So when you're writing raps, right? Do you mess with rhythm and that kind of thing in words that make different sounds? Okay, same thing with iambic pentameter. It's just a set form. So instead of making stresses at different points in the line, you stress every other syllable. Does that make sense? So it creates like a ba-boom, 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 da-da, da-da, da-da. It has a very like gallopy kind of rhythm. Okay? So Shakespearean sonnets always use this nice gallop. Okay? The ba-bump, ba-bump, ba-bump. That's always in a Shakespearean sonnet, okay? There are 3 quatrains, which is a group of 4 lines and a couplet, okay? How many lines are in a couplet?
4. Oh, wait, 2.
Quatrain has 4, okay? So now we have 14 lines, and it's broken up into 4, 4, 4, 2, okay? So it's going to be quatrain, 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 couplet. Again, this is my stuff, okay? Stay with me. The rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. So basically every other word is going to rhyme. Okay, so A, B, A, B. The A's are going to rhyme, the B's are going to rhyme, and there's going to be a new format at the end. Does that make sense? Do you guys remember rhyme scheme? Is anyone confused on rhyme scheme? Want me to review? Killing the game, Kiara! Okay. Rhyme scheme. Do we all get rhyme scheme? Tell me if not. Yes. Okay, let me get to the example and I'll show you. Okay. So, each here we go. This is where it gets tricky, okay? What are these called again? Nathan Motive. Each set of 4.
Something with
Quatrain, couplet. Right? Because what's quattro in Spanish? 4. Okay? So it's a line of 4 for each, and then I couple 2 at the end. Okay? So each quatrain, so each one of these is a separate unit of thought. Okay? So you know how when you guys write essays and each paragraph is a separate unit of thought? It's the same thing with a quatrain. Okay? So in poetry, whenever an author breaks up sections, they typically are talking about one thing in each section. Have you ever thought about that when you're reading poetry, or attempting to read poetry, I should say? Okay. Each breakup or each quatrain or each stanza is a separate unit of thought. This one is a word you guys need to know for the future because your teachers will not review it. A volta. Okay. It's a turn. So it signals a change in thought of the speaker. This is right before the ending couplet. So what the author does in a sonnet is they're like talking about something, right? And then all of a sudden they like have an epiphany. And they're like, oh, okay, then they're going to make a turn and then have an ending thought. Okay? So the volta is just a turn or a change in thought. Okay? Everyone say volta. Louder!
Volta.
Riley, what is it? Volta. Good job, buddy. Okay. So, this is right before the ending couplet. So, where would, where would in this nice little diagram here, where would the volta go? Where in my 4s and 2s? Oh my god, it's joking going. What? Okay. Yes! Okay, it says, this is right before the ending couplet. Okay? So it's going to be idea, change of thought, I figured it out, here's my ending couplet. Okay? That's always where the volta is. Good job. So the ending couplet rhymes and comments on the preceding 3 trains. So like I said, the speaker is going to talk about something for 3 different quatrains, right? 4, 4, 4. They're going to be like, oh, I figured out my issue. That's when they turn and make a lasting comment, just like a conclusion in a paragraph, in an essay, right? The couplet's like a conclusion. It just is like the last comment on what they've been discussing. How confused are you right now? Are we pretty good? Tell me if not, so you can review. Okay. This is what it looks like. So, you are going to have 3 quatrains, a turn, and a rhyming couplet. Okay? Also called the volta. Do you guys see what the rhyme scheme right here? Remember it's A, B, A, B, C, B, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. So now we're going to go over the rhyme scheme really quick. Okay? Ready for this one? This is a Shakespearean sonnet, guys. This is big news right here. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damasked red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. Aye, and in some perfumes is there more delight there in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. Any yet, by heaven, I think my love as rare as any she bellied with false compare. Okay, this is a Shakespeare poem. And what it's doing is it's basically making fun of the love sonnet form, right? He's comparing everything to things that you don't find as, like, cute or nice. Like, he's saying, like, oh, there's perfume, but my lady. When he's saying mistress, he means, like, a love, okay? Words have changed. Like, her breath is stanky, right? Like, he's making fun of all these points, okay? So, let's try to figure out the rhyme scheme. Janessa, since you wanted to go over. Oh, it's right there. I forgot about that. Okay. So, what's the last word in this first line? Sun. Okay. I hate that I can't write. Okay. was terrible. Okay. Sun. So that's going to be A, right? It's our first letter. Aiden, does red rhyme with sun? No. Good. Okay. So that's going to be B because it's a new sound, right? Right. We got it. Okay, done. What does done rhyme with, Nate Hubbard? Sun. Okay, so it's going to be an A, right? We're going to stick to A since it's a sound that's already been made. Yes. Yeah. You need to go to the office just for a quick second. Yeah, you're nothing. Do you remember this though?
Yeah.
Okay. Head, Liz. What does head rhyme with?
Nothing.
Anything else in that paragraph? Sun, red, done, head.
Oh, red.
Mm-hmm. So what's that going to be? It's going to be a B, right? Okay. Now let's go white. Haley. Does white rhyme? Okay, with anything above? No. So that's going to be a whole different letter, right? We're going to label that C because it's a sound that hasn't been made. Okay? Riley Moon? Cheeks. Does cheeks rhyme with anything? Is it a new color?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So it's going to be D because we have A, B, A, B, C, D, C. Delight. Sophia. White. Okay. So that's going to be a C. Reeks. Grant.
Cheeks.
Good. Okay. Now we're on to our third quatrain. Aiden. He's like, I'm next. Aiden, no. Does that rhyme with anything above? Okay. So we are going to, that's a new sound, right? So it's going to be E. Kiara, sound. Does that rhyme with anything above? No. Go. Liz.
No.
Yep. Ground. Nate Hubbard. Sound. Good. Okay. Now we're on to our couplet. Remember, this rhymes. Okay. So, Riley Moon. Rare and compare, or do they rhyme?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a new sound? Do you see anything that has the air sound? No, so it's going to be a whole nother letter. Good job. Congrats, guys. Okay. So we've got the rhyme scheme down. It's for sure Shakespearean. Okay. Grant, can you identify a quatrain for me? Where is there a quatrain?
Like after A B A B.
After it? So is this a quatrain?
Maybe.
Anyone want to help him out? Yeah? Yes. Okay, Aiden. So is this a quatrain? Good job, kid. Okay. So this is quatrain number 1. Aiden, do you remember how many quatrains there are in this sonnet? 3. Good. Okay. So where's the next one, Grant?
The next,
Stanza. Good. Quatrain 2. Haley, where's number 3? Quatrain 3. Okay. Nathan Woodworth. No, what's the last little couplet? Good job, kiddo. So that's couplet number 1, okay? We have the form of a Shakespearean sonnet. Now let's read again, okay? I want you guys to point out where the volta is, where the change is. So he's talking about, he's comparing the love of his life to ugly things and gross things, right? My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips are red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damasked, red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight, there in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music has a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go, my mistress when she walks treads on the ground. Any yet, by heaven, I think my love is rare, as any as she be led with false compare. Okay? So he's talking about in the quatrains. What's he talking about in the quatrains? What's he comparing? What are the two things he's comparing? Sophia, any idea?
Love and like.
Things, right? So he's like making fun of all of this love type stuff, okay? And then in the couplet, what is he saying in the couplet? As any yet by heaven, I think my love is as rare as any that she belied with false compare. Okay? So he's comparing these two things in the quatrains, but now he gets to the couplet, Nathan. Yeah, he's like, she might be nasty, but I love her still, right?
Just like pointing out all her flaws for the rest of it, but then he just ends up I still love her.
He's more just being ironic and funny, because this is based off of another stanza about his mistress, or another sonnet about his mistress. So yeah, so he talks about all this nastiness, right? He's like, but I still love her. So where would the volta be, Nathan? The change.
Or no, is it between the...
Is it between the quatrains?
quatrain and the...
Good. It's right here, right? This is the volta. Okay, this is the change. Because he's comparing everything and then being like, I still love her. Okay, she may got black wires coming out of her head, but she's my girl. Iambic pentameter. Okay. So, read this line right here, Kiara, really slow. I'll add, sorry.
Wait.
Here, I'll read it all out. If snow be white, why then her breasts are done. Do you hear that? Boom, 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 boom. I'll do another one. But no such roses see I in her cheeks. Like everything is but-um. That's iambic pentameter. So if we go here, if snow be white, why then her breasts are done. Somebody was like, how do you know to emphasize or not? Think of the word, think of this word. Haley, can you say wires out loud? What part of the word do you emphasize? Wires, right? That's just how you say it. That's where the emphasis, that's where the stress is, okay? I don't know if I'm just saying wires. Like, that's not what you emphasize, right? Think of the word California. What parts do you emphasize? California. The if is emphasized, right? California. I don't say California. Unless you're my dad. Because my dad emphasizes weird parts of words. I'm like, what are you saying? Okay. Does that make sense, Kiara? Okay. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. He's a master. Almost all of Shakespeare's plays, there's a lot written in iambic pentameter. Can you imagine how much time that would take to put together?
I was trying to do every other word.
Yeah, so it starts low. Coral is far more red than her lips red. He naturally chooses words that are emphasized. Okay, do we got it? We got Shakespearean? Those are all the elements of Shakespearean. Are we good? Thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down. Everyone. Okay, cool. You good? Alright, so this is a whole different sonnet form. It's still 14 lines. Okay, it's still dealing with two different topics, but it's called Petrarchan or Italian. Okay? So, here we go. The rhyme scheme in a Petrarchan sonnet is different than the Shakespearean. Okay, so instead of being A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G, this one is A, B, B, A, B, B, A, C, D, C, D, C, D. Okay, I'll show you guys. You got it, Nathan. You can figure out the rhyme scheme pretty easily, okay? In a Petrarchan sonnet, the first 8 lines are related, known as an octave, followed by the next 6 lines, which are a sestet, okay? So check this out. Remember how with the Shakespearean we had the 4 quatrain, quatrain couplet? In an Italian sonnet, we still have 14 lines, but it's an octave and then a sestet. What's 8 plus 6? 14! We still got it, okay? We're doing math and English today, guys. No big deal. So, in the octave, okay, this is related. In the sestet, it says it usually makes specific a general statement that has been presented in the octave or indicates the personal emotion of the author in a situation. Okay, so the sestet builds off of that first octave. Okay, think of an octopus. What is 8? What is 8? What's oct? Root word 8. Okay, octomom. If you guys know what that is. Ses, that's 6. Okay. So what this is going to say is it's going to build off of this. So it's going to give a general statement or talk about the personal emotion that was presented in the first octave. Okay. So you know how the couplet like built off of the rest of it? Now it's just 8 and 6. So then it says the 9th line is the volta, signifying a change in rhyme pattern and a change in subject matter. Okay, it's building off of that first one. So we have our 8 lines, right? So the 9th line is going to be the first line of the sestet. That's the volta. That's the change. Okay. So where was the volta in a Shakespearean sonnet? Grant, do you remember?
After the third stanza.
Good job. Okay. So in this case, it's going to be on the top of that first line of that sestet. Okay. Does that make sense? You with me? So same sonnet, 14 lines. Okay. Talking about 2 different ideas. It's just a different form. Huh? No, it's not necessarily written in iambic pentameter. It could be, but that's not a qualifying standard. Okay, let's check this out. So, in an Italian sonnet, do you guys see how it's formatted? Okay. So we have the different rhyme scheme. It's ABBA, ABBA. It's no longer AB, AB, CD, CD. It's not like that anymore with the Shakespearean. So you have your octave, your volta, your turn, your sestet. Okay, there's no couplet, there's no quatrains, that's it. Okay, does this make sense? Okay, it's just a different form. It'd be like a different type of essay, right? You write expository and then you write argumentative. Same thing with sonnets, okay? There's a Shakespearean, there's a Petrarchan. Yeah. Huh? No, it's that first line. Sorry, my line was a little low. Okay? It's that first line of the sestet. So here's more on it, okay? The octave, which is the first stanza. The octave presents a narrative, it states a preposition, or raises a question, okay? So it's typically going to present information, whether it's a story, whether it's like a proposition where you're going to propose something, or it's a question, okay? That's the first octave. The sestet, which brings it home, it drives home the narrative by making an abstract comment, applies the preposition, or solves the problem. Okay? So, this one right here, it's like the presentation of the information. Okay? Here's what I'm going to be discussing. Sestet is the answer. Okay? Are we good? Okay. So, third, the last type of sonnet is a Spenserian. Okay? This was introduced by Edward Spencer. Fun fact, okay, he wrote a lot of sonnets. So it resembles the Italian sonnet's rhyme scheme and the English sonnet's 12-line problem, 2-line solution format, okay? So what does that mean? It has the same rhyme scheme as the Italian sonnet. So it has the same rhyme scheme as this bad boy. But it has the same type of format as the 12-line and then the couplet, okay? The Spenserian sonnet complicates the Shakespearean form of linking rhymes among the quatrains. Okay? So again, what is so difficult about this one is it's going to connect. You have to have a lot more rhyming words in there, right, than just A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D. It's a little more simple to do that. The Spenserian sonnet is very rare among modern poets. Okay? Sonnets in general are pretty rare. They're not like the hip form of poetry nowadays, if that makes sense. But the Shakespearean and the Petrarchan are going to be used a lot more, okay, when people are writing. Spenserian isn't as pretty of a flow. Do you guys want me to review anything that we just talked about? Any of the sonnets, any of the rhyme schemes? Do you guys want to look at a poem together and try to figure out what it is?
I feel like a Spenserian or the other one.
Yeah! Here, I'm going to pull one up. I'm going to have you guys try to figure it out.
Wait, is the Shakespearean always in iambic
Yes, it's always an iambic pentameter. Okay, so sonnet 19, when I consider my life, my light is spent. When I consider how my light is spent, ere half my days in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide, lodged with me useless, though my soul more bent to serve therewith my Maker, and present my true account, lest he returning chide. Doth God exact a day, labor light denied? I fondly ask, but patience to prevent that murmur soon replies. God doth not need either man's work or his own gifts. Who best bear his mild yoke, they serve him best. His state is kingly. Thousands are at his bidding speed, and post over land and ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait. Okay? So John Milton is your author from from the Age of Enlightenment. So what that means is basically everything they wrote about was religious. Like everything had religious overtones. So he's writing questions to God here. Okay. Someone tell me what they think this one is. Nathan? ¿Por qué? That means why. Why do you think it's Italian?
I think it's a lot of the structure.
Okay.
It's like some.
Oh, okay. So let's use some of the language from the type of poem it is, okay? So we think it is Petrarchan or Italian. Okay. So what's one element of the Italian or the Petrarchan that you see here? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So here's our octave. Okay. Okay. So then what's the next 6 lines called? Sestet. Good. Sestet. Okay. Let's look at the rhyme scheme. Haley, what is the first letter? First word. So what are we going to label it? A. Okay. Aiden, wide. Does that rhyme with spent? Does wide rhyme with spent? Okay, so what are we going to label this one? B. They do it off of letters. That's what I'm saying. Grant, hide. Does that rhyme with either of the above? Spent and hide rhyme?
Wait, no, B.
Okay, so what are we going to label it?
B.
Good. Okay. Liz, bent. Does that rhyme with anything of the above?
A.
Good. Sophia, present. Does that rhyme with anything?
Yes.
Okay. Kiara, chide. Does that rhyme with anything? Chide.
Oh, wait. Hi.
Okay. B. Riley. Good. Haley. Good. So we have the Abba. Okay, so far we're in Petrarchan. Nate Hubbard. Need. Does it rhyme with anything in the above? No? So what are we going to label it? C. Good. Best. Does that rhyme with anything so far? Janessa? No, so it's going to be D, right? Okay. State. State. C, D, E. Speed. Yeah. C. Rest. It's D. And wait. Oh, yeah.
I thought that was supposed to be B.
So there's 2 types of Italians that you can mix with the rhyme things. I haven't taught you one because you don't need to know rhyme schemes, basically. So this can be switched up a little bit towards the end depending on the sonnet, but the Abba is very clear that it's the Petrarchan. Okay?
So it can end with like C, D, C, D, C, D, or can end with C, D, E, C, D.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not going to quiz you guys on knowing either of them. It's just basically can you figure it out. Okay? So good, we have a Petrarchan. Now where's the volta, the change? Did you guys catch that? This is really difficult language because it's written in like 1400 or something like that. No, I think it's like 1600. So when I consider how my light is spent ere half my days in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide, lodged with me useless, though my soul more bent to serve there with my Maker and present my true account, lest he returning chide. Doth God exact day labor light denied? I fondly ask. Okay, so what has he done in this first stanza, in the first octave? I'm sorry. Does he propose a narrative? Does he ask a question? What's he doing? Asking a question. Okay, and he says, "Doth God exact day labor light denied?" He's asking about death, right? He's talking about death and God. And so he asks this question and says, "I fondly ask." Then he gets into his new cesset, which is supposed to be an answer or a building. And he says, "But patience to prevent that murmur soon replies, God doth not need either man's work or his own gifts, who best bear his mild yoke. They serve him best. His state is kingly. Thousands at his bidding speed and post o'er land and ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait." Okay? So then this cesset answers the question, okay, that he's provided above. So it's clearly not a Spenserian because it doesn't have the 12 and the 2. Like the Shakespeare doesn't have an iambic pentameter or the same rhyme scheme. Okay, does that help? You want to look at it? Okay, so what I want you guys to do now, go ahead and take the sonnet quiz. Okay, some of them are multiple choice and there's going to be some fill in the blank. So let me know if you need help. Okay.